Alright, I'll call the meeting to order. Here's Swan. First, order of business is the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Please join me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, we got agenda review. Anybody have additions? Maybe a subtraction or two?
I have an addition, under the Liquor Control and Tobacco Control Board, I have to add one Mama Bear's, which is the House of Pizza.
Yeah.
It came in today.
Alright. The only thing I thought of was, under Highway Department, I would like to open them bids while Kevin is here.
Okay,
Okay, instead of doing it.
yeah, we can,
We got the bids in, you're probably aware of that.
and I'll also add, Mr. Chair, a deletion. V-Trans will not be in attendance tonight.
Really?
Right, they're not ready yet. I got that word this morning.
Right here.
Well, you better get home early.
By the time you say that, it gets later.
He said May. Right, Earl?
Yeah. Now, you got meeting topics.
Yeah.
So what is that
Where?
right here?
You wanna move 7,
Meeting topic,
Yeah.
so you can, we got the minutes, we just go on down through the
Okay.
list.
Alright, oh, that's what that is.
well, do
Okay.
you wanna move 7 up, so
Yes,
Kevin,
yes.
so
Wanna
move
move
7
7?
before 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, before 4.
So 7A.
Okay, the next thing would be the minutes of April 4th. I know Ed had sent in something, because you weren't here.
Right. Yeah, he had me as,
And does anybody else have any? You wanna make a motion then?
I moved. I'll second.
Alright, motion's been made and seconded,
If you weren't here, you can't move on the
Right.
minutes.
Right.
I'll make a motion.
okay?
Yeah.
Alright,
I'll second.
Steve has made the motion and Cody has seconded it. Is there any more discussions on the minutes? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Public comments, and this would be for comments of anything that's not on the agenda.
No, I don't.
You were just letting people in still.
Okay. Alright, so nobody has any comments, and we'll go on to expenditures and general orders.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
I move we accept the general orders as presented for the period of March 22nd through April 18th.
I'll second.
A motion to approve the orders has been made and seconded. Is there any more discussion?
Do you want us to put the amount, I think the last time you asked?
Yes, we should put these in.
All right, in the amount of $122,466.04.
Okay, if there's no more discussion then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carried. Next, we're gonna go on to highway orders.
I do have a question. The highway department was so nice to buy the tire for the wreck. Will you invoice?
Oh, yes,
us?
I got a
Okay.
note to invoice you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Kevin.
You can just put it
Kevin, you already got the chopper?
Yes.
Thank you.
the tire.
Yeah, I see, we paid for it, but I wanna make sure. I
Did we get the funding, was there some more funding for
There was
that?
some more funding based on the price of the chopper and the fact that it was a chopper. And so it increased slightly, or a couple of $100 more. I don't believe we received it yet, but the paperwork's been put in and we're waiting.
You have Kevin here, so if you guys got any questions. Have you got, the other truck fixed yet, the one that rolls, is that, it's all finished?
All finished, just got it back today.
I'll move on the highway orders from March 22nd, 2023 to April 18th, 2023.
Just state the amount,
Pardon?
state the amount in your motion, please.
$42,503.01.
I'll second that.
Alright, motion's been made and seconded, is there any more discussion?
Seconded that.
How's that? You ready? Alright, then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, motion carried. Next one we got is library orders.
No, it's gonna be ARPA. I should have said I had ARPA orders. Sorry.
Oh, wait, library orders.
The very last one in your packet.
Yep, I got it. Pretty simple.
So the 27,000 for library, that has to do with the heating system?
It's half of the equipment for the furnaces.
And that's the only thing for the month.
Right now.
I make a motion to accept the ARPA orders from March 22nd, 2023 to April 18th, 2023 in the amount of $27,000.
Second.
So this is only half.
Yeah, it's after half.
Yeah.
Did we already pay the first half, didn't we?
No.
So
No, not till it's done.
done. They haven't started yet.
No.
Alright, the motion been made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Not, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we'll go back to the library orders.
That repair, that was the recent, for the elevator there. That repair. What was that for? Give you a refresh.
That was when they went and did the
When the-
repair and they
right.
had to have the rep from orders here.
Right.
Put this on pump, correct?
It's, standby, there's that, or tech that's
Yeah.
standby,
Yeah.
Now, that's, the James, we made a down payment on the work he's
Yes,
supposed to do.
yeah. That was part of the contract.
Yeah. Anybody have any other questions or wanna make a motion on that?
You're still on the,
Library.
Library.
yeah, I just had a question, it's just for information. We have a Hilaire Rodriguez.
Oh, you're on the payroll, that's the
Yeah.
orders.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I'll make a motion to approve the library orders March 22nd, 2023 to April 18th, 2023 in the amount of $13,775.80.
Second.
Alright, motion's been made and seconded, for the library orders, is there any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, do you have, everything that's going on in the library? What was budgeted for the library expenses that we had to vote on? I can't remember.
Well, there's two different ones, one was like 60-something thousand, and ours was like 120. Or more,
I was just curious,
I think it's a total of 190,000 between both of them.
So for the town's budget, it's actually 213,097, but they had a carryover, so the amount to be raised by taxes was 175,382.39. And their money that they request for their operating is 67,490.
So it's over 200,000 that was raised through taxes.
thank you.
Alright, motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carried. Now we can go on to the payroll.
Could we ask who made the last motions on this?
I did, seconded by Ed.
That was for library, right?
Okay, library orders.
Library.
Got that.
The next one is your highway and general orders, because the library payroll orders are used separate now.
Oh, they're not in with all?
No, they will be it's gonna be the next, just so you know, it's the next set.
I'm not on these orders, and I probably should be, for my select board stipend.
This happened last year too,
Right.
cause you're in the rec department, but we pay you in the general fund here, and you're coded a 3, and I never print 3s because that's the rec, so I have to, I guess.
I just wanted to make note of
Yeah,
that.
let me continue with the next ones, I might have to manually add that.
Alright, so you want us to, go on to
Library.
the next one?
Library payroll orders.
Alright, we're gonna, put these in, pause, and then we're gonna go to the library payroll orders. Which you have the question on that, Steve.
I was just curious, is that we have two Rodriguez, if I'm not saying that. Are they-
They're not related. Hillary Santiago Rodriguez is the children's librarian, and Jody Stone Rodriguez is, I believe, a front desk clerk, circulation clerk.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions on them?
You, when you make the motion, you want to include that still, the total?
For the library
Yeah.
payroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, the-
Let me make a motion.
Yeah, if somebody needs to make a motion, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the library payroll orders from March 22nd, 2023 to April 18th, 2023, in the amount of $9,095.90.
I second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded, the only question I got is up on the library. Oh, there it is, okay, yeah, alright, I missed it. Alright, so the motion been made and seconded, is there any other questions? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Now we're waiting for Kathy to come back with,
Correct.
You have to, just for your, have to state the order
Yeah.
amount, just in case when the auditors go back to look. You wanna make sure that
You get that
Oh, yeah, I
amount,
the
think
order.
you get the amount to the
Yeah.
select
Yeah,
That's
so
why I
they-
always say the amount.
$9,095.95.
No, we-
Kathy's
we
making
need
the
to
sheet
No, it's gonna be.
that has all the
Yeah.
amounts. Yeah.
I guess as long as we're on the library. Have you had any luck, Brian, getting hold of Fifty Vermont doing an inspection?
They're gonna, we were gonna do that after the furnace is installed.
So you have them on schedule?
I've talked with them, and they said to call them back when the furnace is installed, and then they'll schedule. But they'll get. Cause we should be getting some money back in the rebate on the furnaces too. Cause that was part of the condition of the contract, they have to meet a certain.
Yeah, cause we wanna try to get that done before winter.
Oh, yeah.
So there's, she's got one there.
I come with my
I think
own.
it was weird as I was hanging around that way.
Did they have a schedule yet on installing the furnaces?
No, they were just waiting to see, they were waiting so that they know they can, when they shut the heat down, that it's not gonna get too cold. So.
Did they give you an anticipated time to get, how long it's gonna take to get that done?
No. They're not replacing any of the ductwork,
Right.
that it shouldn't take too long
No, it should be.
to swap the furnaces out and the condensers. I wouldn't think it would take too long.
Gordon, how are you?
Yeah, how are you? Good, thank you.
How are you?
Hey, Gordon.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
they were out there in the rain when I left. They're sweet.
Try to get to work in the rain.
Well,
It's not the same, Earl.
Yeah.
see, we stalled just for you, Amy.
This is Christina.
Oh, which one, eh? Oh, no, Eli, yeah, the oldest one, yes, yeah. 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 Big kids. Really? Oh, yeah, I know they're undefeated.
Not recorded there. He's 12. Where's he? Here. Yeah. So far. The Will plays for Blue Coast School at Monte Cristo. So he plays for Bluegrass. They all have
Now you got somebody that knows that.
They all play which one's
So we just took the last page of the orders
So
to
the pen
add.
file or something? Oh, I told you that.
Thank you, my apologies.
That's, no, I should remember
Okay.
it because I never actually
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah. I decided you went down and made it. So they threw their games out.
No,
Two
it's
teams
on
to
the
show up.
general.
And then we had to play the one that they lost to. So we ended up finding.
Highway
So
general.
they were, yeah. Yeah, well,
Payroll.
we got these guys go down for that. We're going to Massachusetts this weekend. They play. It's like,
Oh, right here.
you look at the drawing.
Okay, you know, we're back in,
Highway general
Mass
payroll
Elite,
orders
Mass
still need to be
Select.
approved.
okay.
Just remember this is.
There's a lot of select teams
Oh,
this week.
right here.
Okay, we've got the, Kathy brought back, what we needed to complete the highway and general payroll orders. The amount was changed from 39,000 to 40,400 something. Anybody have any more questions on them payroll orders? Just for clarity, what did you have to
Well,
change?
what I had to change is because, Nicole's on the select board and she also works for the rec department, her main code is 3 for under the rec department.
Yeah.
But when I pay her under the one general fund through our general fund, but I can't split that from the rec department. It splits it in ledger, but when I go into payroll, it won't split it out, it's just a total. So the way I can do it is if I go in and do the detail, I can print out a detail of what that represented and then I can add it on.
Yeah, and what you're saying is that was their pay for serving on the select board.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's not that much. Okay, does anybody have any questions on them? Alright, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the highway general payroll orders dated March 22nd, 2023 to April 18th, 2023 in the amount of $40,419.38.
Second.
Alright, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries too. Okay, now we're gonna get to opening the bids. I don't know if you wanna come up here, Kevin, a little closer, so you can take a look at them, make sure everything's properly done.
Come on up, Mr. O'Brien.
Okay.
So we received 4 bids.
4 bids.
And so I'll just, as we've done in the past, I'll just hand out to each individual close at hand here. And you're closer, so there we go. You can open them and then the chair will have you read them. The deadline was, to get them in was 4:30 last Friday afternoon, and everybody was in Friday time.
And letter openers.
That's next year's budget.
Kevin, remember what we were paying a ton last year? Do you remember, Earl?
See how much it went up.
Earl,
I didn't think it was this high.
that's what I was asking.
No, but I know it was quite a bit.
Nicole, you remember?
Not off the top of my head, no. If you want me to scurry through my paperwork, I'm sure I could probably make something out.
No, you don't have to do that, but. Mark, you remember
What's the question?
what we were paying a ton last year for?
No, I don't remember.
I believe it was 87.
Oh, I can probably find it for you, I don't know.
Alright, guess we'll start with Steve on that end. And,
This is from Hungerford Paving, and I'm guessing everybody's got the same list of
Yep.
projects. $549,061.
Okay.
alright, Ed,
Yeah. Mine's from Frank Whitcomb Construction Corporation. $628,777.26.
you Cody, which one do you have?
J. Hutchins Inc. And $628,917.15.
Wow.
Alright, I have Pike Industries, and their bid was $547,268.63.
Only $2.
Take a look at that. Make sure, like, we all got, how many on yours?
6.
6?
It includes you.
Yep.
did we budget?
I'm looking.
No.
Yeah, right, you like this,
Three. For the house.
350.
It's 88.62.
88 per ton?
88,
Yeah, 88.62.
88.62.
a little, it was 88.62, I was
What's
a
it now?
little bit less, I thought it was. What?
What is it now, 90?
80, well, depends whose bid you're on.
Should be.
Everybody's got all the same roads in there?
all I'm saying.
They should be the same.
Yeah,
They should be the
Oh,
same.
I should have known on, heights, there's something on the bottom, I don't, looks like, no, on the front page. Right at the bottom, there's an additional charge, is that an additional charge?
Asphalt cement,
so,
$612 a ton, $612 a ton, $612.
yeah, it's all
It's all the same
the same.
for all of it.
It's all-
$612.
Okay, it's all the same on every one of them, alright. You have a comment?
Yeah,
Mark?
Mark Russell, before you guys choose the bid, I know they're very close, just make aware last year, Pike Industries postponed paving multiple times. So just keep that in mind
What was that,
on
Mark?
that project. Last year, Pike postponed their paving multiple times on projects they did for the town, so I think that's something we should be.
Yeah, we did end up finishing pretty late in the season, we do have a,
One,
I'm assuming if you,
Yeah.
you work for bikes.
yeah. So yes, there's Kevin put in a earlier date to complete it and the plan on it. I think it was just one road that we were late on. And I thought it came out great.
That was a BB road, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there isn't a lot of difference between two of them. The only thing we have to consider is we only budget 350,000. You know, we got, I don't know how we're gonna make up 150,000.
190.
What's that?
It's 190.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I'm rounding it off, my favor. Cause that, as long as we have one of the bidders here, I mean, is that gonna be a problem if we can't do the whole amount?
No, we would go with unit prices and shrink the job.
So whatever road you bid on and the price you had on that road is gonna stay the same.
The unit price, my unit prices are all the same, every road's the same, so whatever we do for tonnage on that road, half inch and inch and a half tall. Whatever we come up with tonnage is, that'll be the price.
Just curious,
So,
what's going on?
how about the overall
Why is the
tonnages?
difference in the tonnage? Are they getting it from the same place, or why is there such a difference in tonnage?
The price per ton, I don't
Per
know.
ton?
Oh, per ton.
Yeah, why is it? Because if they're getting it from the same spot.
Mr. Chairman,
If we change the roads, do we have to ask for new bids?
I don't think we necessarily have to ask for
As long as all the
no.
units remain the same.
So we could pull that out of each one of the bids and then re-examine them.
Yeah. You think that they might have a road higher than the other ones,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
you're saying.
Earl,
That's worth discussion because, I mean, where were we gonna come up with that extra money?
Yep. And one of these bids is very close,
Yeah,
very, very close. So if they pulled out a certain road to help us get the cost down, I'd like to see what the impact is. It could tip it the other way.
yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
If there's a variance between roads. What do you think, Kevin? I know you wanna do them all.
We come into this knowing that we probably wouldn't be able to do them all. So
did you have any that you would, your priority list, where ends would come in on that 350,000?
Yeah, priority is Lakewood Drive, Campbell Bay Road, and that Homestead.
Those would be the ones you definitely wanna get done.
Yes.
Homestead is certainly in need of repair.
It's between them plans.
It's falling apart.
How much would that come to if we just was focused on those three?
May I see the bids when you're?
130, what
I've
was
got
it, three
Chairman,
Lakewood,
I have a
Homestead?
question when you get a minute, as one of the bidders.
Yeah, that's the question.
One of the bidders in the audience too.
So sometimes, the way the bid
Your
form,
name, sir?
my name is Jim Hungerford, and I'm with Hungerford Paving.
Thank you.
So the bid form, the way I understood it, was that it's a unit price bid, so dollars per ton with estimated tons. And then the awarded contractor will get paid off the amount of tons actually installed with load slips. So we're analyzing these bids off the total dollar amount at the bottom, but sometimes there's slight variations in how you estimate tonnage. So if you, for example, if we were off 10% in estimating tonnage, there could actually be a different low bidder and a cheaper option to the town, depending on how the bid is looked. Because the way I understand how it would be paid was per unit price.
When you say 10%, Mr. Hunger, you're talking about up or down?
It doesn't matter. So if you look at the tons, so it says the tons, well, that's just an estimate of what the tonnage is. The actual amount that the town's gonna be billed is off load slips of what the road actually consumed. Obviously, the goal is to get within very close range of what your budget is. So I don't know what the unit rates are, but
Excuse me though, is that 10% up or 10% down?
10%, you don't have to excuse me, was just throwing out a variation of estimating tonnages. It could be any percentage. So when we're assessing this total bid number, you're looking at the dollars off an estimated tonnage. So when in actuality, you're gonna pay off installed tons at a unit price. So is it possible that we can get the unit prices read aloud? Because that's what you're gonna.
They're all
Yeah.
public information now. I'll start with you, Hunter. Your bid price was, unit price was 85 for overlay, but you got some shims in here, 88.
Right, so the way that the bid was set up was that there was a different type of mix for your shim than your top course. Our pricing through supplier, which is Pike, is $3 higher on your shim course due to that mix being a smaller aggregate. There is 3 times the amount of material for top course than there is shim course. So the bulk of where your budget will be coming from will be from that $85 a ton.
Alright, and on Pike Industries, they have 86.47 on overlay and across the board, straight through.
So if you analyze total estimated quantities, we're actually cheaper on a unit rate, but there could be a variance in how you estimate the total amount of tonnage.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about, yeah.
Here.
No,
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
This is what they're estimating for
Yeah.
tonnage.
yeah. Let's see, we did Hungerford, so the next one would be Hutchinson, theirs was 96.15 across the board. And we have one other one. Whitcomb's was 99.38 across the board, no difference between shim or overlay. Well, it looks like it's gonna be very difficult to make a decision tonight, and you're gonna have to go through this, Kevin, and see what our best bang for the buck is gonna be.
Can you put these on a spreadsheet for us? Just list it by company, bid, and then the particulars like the amount of, how much per ton is gonna be and whatever. Or Kathy can do that, help you with that.
So you can come see me, we can do it.
Poor Captain, that's what I do.
That's what I do. I see.
I can help too.
Yeah, and she can do it.
And I guess
So,
we're not gonna meet again until,
2 weeks.
We might need to have a special meeting. How long, do we really wanna keep waiting?
well, not any longer than we have to, you guys wanna know fairly soon, right?
Yeah.
It's May 2nd.
May 2nd, yeah.
May 2nd, so that's another, that's 2 weeks away from now,
What was your plans, Jim? If you got the bid, when would you start?
If we got the bid, we'd have this project completed before June 30th. Which
Before June 30th?
isn't that the goal?
does that fit into your schedule?
Well, I got work to do on, Campbell Bay Road.
I think what you're saying
We
is
can
you'll
start
work
with
with
the
us.
Wait, what I mean, I wanna hear what Kevin's got to say, because the
Yeah, the
weather
roads.
needs to be ready or not,
The
what?
other roads would be,
The other road would be good.
yeah. But we wanna start down there in West Swanton, so. But,
Would that be a problem if you had to delay your start?
We're a smaller company and we do the best we can to work with. This would be a big contract for us. And we'd work with Kevin, and if we have to mobilize multiple times to make it work with the town, that's not a problem.
Well, my suggestion right now is that we let Kevin and Kathy, get the numbers together, and is it possible that maybe by, next Monday, Tuesday, we could come in at noontime just for this? To take a look at the numbers and make a decision?
I can.
Okay.
Count me in.
Next Monday.
We can have lunch catered by the roof.
Well, the ding dong's gone too.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I got a couple questions on it too, so after.
Can I address the board when you get a second?
What's that? Yeah, go ahead.
So, sounds like whole numbers, Pike's a little better, possibly unit numbers, Jim's a little number. I just wanna point out a couple things with Pike. We have a rubber tire roller, most outfits don't, that, for your Shimco, will need the mix into the road,
Yeah,
really get some good compaction. We have, certified flaggers. And we have a real spray truck, all digitalized, and so you'll get the right product. Not that you wouldn't anywhere else, but I wanted to point out the Pike will bring that.
alright, so we've all in agreement that we're gonna come back on Monday and, we'll get the revised, what we can afford to do. Get them, the roads in there and take a look at it and then see, how it comes out. And we certainly appreciate the bids.
I'd like to thank both of you for coming in. That's,
Yeah.
Representing.
that's
Not easy.
really appreciated.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
After you.
I think.
I'll
wear a different shirt.
So, my question, Mr. Chair, is that obviously 2 of these bids are out of the ballpark completely. So,
So, yeah, just thinking it's a waste of time, yeah.
it's a
I agree.
comparison of the 2.
Yeah.
quotes.
It would probably be,
Okay.
but
They're
I'm sure you
basically
guys,
6 cents apart.
How much?
6 cents.
Yeah, I just, even though they're way out of the ballpark, if we're reducing the number of roads, I'd still like to see all of them in that spreadsheet. I just think it's, in case we miss something that might be quite obvious, but just adding, just a few more entries.
Alright, you gotta do the work.
Brian, I'm gonna need those though.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna give one to you.
Okay.
And you can
Alright.
lock them up tonight.
On
To be over on that stuff.
If you would,
On the page?
pass these down to Kathy,
You
they're.
can't bring it up now?
No,
Okay.
yeah, that's all.
Okay, you got anything else you wanna,
I talked to you about,
yeah, Okay, and he, like, alright, I remember that now. And he's all set, that's right, he was all set with the time, alright, so we'll have to discuss that in executive session. Has
Which is
to do
next
with
on the
an
agenda.
employee.
I've got one thing for executive session, one.
Okay, so we'll do, yeah,
So,
we'll bring that and Brian will get you an answer tomorrow,
Sounds good.
okay?
What's up with me?
Alright, yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Alright, now we do have to go in executive session, but it won't be as long as we anticipated.
See you, Kevin.
This, and you wanna go into executive session? With the Swanton Chamber of Commerce. And so, does somebody wanna make that motion?
I move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential real estate information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
Can we add brevity is expected?
Do we got a second?
Yeah.
Okay, we got a second. Alright, motion been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Don't go too far.
Alright,
I make a motion to come out of executive session, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it.
alright, motion been made and seconded. All those in favor?
At
Aye.
7:13.
For 7:15. Alright, Kim, we're moving up to you right off.
Thank you for sliding me in like that earlier.
Do we have your name and occupation, sir?
Tim Smith, Director of Franklin County Industrial Development. I know, Cody, I don't think you and I have met.
No, sir.
You know everybody else, right?
Had interaction with everyone else someplace along the line. So nothing earth shattering by any means, but I get around to all the select boards, try to get once a year at least. Probably the bigger towns like Swanton and St. Albans and George, I get probably a little more activity, but, so Cody, our mission is to basically grow the economy for Franklin County. Steve was a board chair, Earl's been on the board in the past. And really just focus on creating the job base and, working with businesses to make them stronger. One of those activities was, 20 years ago, we built the, Vermont Precision Tools building. Still the owner of it. And then recently, a year and a half ago, we purchased the, Leader Evaporator building to sort of help them, right their financial ship, if you will, and then allow for H2O to purchase them and keep those jobs in the community and move forward. So that relationship is going very well. They continue to have some challenges. One of them is there's still a tariff on stainless steel from the Trump administration. So it makes them difficult to compete against the Canadian operations, but that's a conversation that we've introduced to Senator Welch and made him aware of that as well. A couple other things we've been working on is we'd love to at some point get a welcome center in on the interstate somewhere between the border and the Swanton exit. We don't want it to go any further than the Swanton exit. I just got an email back from the Secretary of Transportation, Joe Flynn, today. They're still looking for land and trying to find some land that will work. We're only concerned for this part, for the southbound, I-89, not the southbound, so there'd be potentially one, welcome center. Most everyone's here around the table have heard me say that, every major thoroughfare into the state of Vermont has a welcome center. Except for probably the one with the most active area. There's 5 million people within the 1 hour of the border, and we don't have a welcome center, and we think it'd be instrumental for all parts of the county to educate people what's in the area. So that's still trying to push that forward. And
When you bring that up, Kim.
Earl, please don't interrupt me.
Don't leave out Route 78. I mean, I know they want, if you're gonna come off southbound, there's a lot of 78 traffic. Coming into Swan.
There is on 78.
That little
Oh.
log cabin thing would help.
I'm worried about that, we're talking about if they're gonna do one.
Well, what the intent is to get the Canadian market, right? So it'd be off 89, especially with the new route going in, the I-35
Yeah,
being wrapped
yeah,
up.
it's pretty, they're getting closer to the border, I know that.
So,
But what about the traffic coming in on 78 west? And there is a lot.
no, I agree. It's not a priority, I'll tell you that, because I think the bigger market, in my opinion, is coming off the interstate. Because what the projections are is when the new interstate, when that section of I-35 is completed going to Canada, or going to Montreal, the projections are that 30% of your traffic from Champlain and from Derby Line will choose to now come down through Highgate. So you will divert some traffic from the Champlain area over into Highgate, coming down that way. That's a projection, whether it holds true or not, I don't know.
Yeah,
But I agree, I mean, it's amazing, I'm always amazed at the amount of trucks that go through Swanton and come and go on 78.
but, you know,
It may divert some of it,
but there's a lot of tourist traffic that comes in on 78 too.
What's the timing on this, Tim?
good question, Steve. The big key is how soon they can find land that's gonna be adequate. If I was to guess, and I don't know this, I got Joe Flynn had offered to meet, actually stopped by the office today and I wasn't there. But I'm thinking 3 to 4 years by the time that happens. And then the other one that impacts this area too is the loss of the field days. And what, where will they end up? We, along with regional planning, are having a discussion about getting a feasibility study done about alternative sites where they might be able to locate.
Where does this come from?
Franklin County Field Days
Oh, I'm sorry.
are being asked to leave the
I read that.
area.
Sorry.
So, looking at alternatives on where they might be able to reestablish themselves. So we're looking at generating some funds to do a feasibility study and see what land might be appropriate for it. So that's supposedly, they'll have this summer and maybe the summer of 24, but after that they'll be asked to leave. And the problem is they have so much invested in their infrastructure over the years. Some of it you'll be able to relocate, but a lot of it you won't. So, but there was a meeting up at the Abbey about 8 weeks ago, and they finally came to the board, the Franklin County Field Day board finally came to the agreement that, yeah, we need to start looking elsewhere. We understand we're gonna be asked, we're gonna be forced to leave, and so they're moving forward with, they finally are in agreement on that, to move and try to find something else. Big picture, throughout the county, no surprises of, no one can find help, doesn't matter what industry, what sector. There's, manufacturers are still looking, a lot of second shift openings. So that's gonna be, I thought the schools just did a nice job. So the 5 high schools, this was coordinated through Cold Hollow Career Center up in Enosburg and the Tech Center in St. Albans. They got together and last Thursday, they orchestrated manufacturing visits, and the hospital was included in that. So they brought, I think there's had to be about 60 or 70 guidance counselors and administrators who did tours to at least two sites. So the ones that I visited was Paragon Med Associates. They went to Superior, they went to Techno Apex, they went to Mylan, they went to Vermont Precision Tools. So they went to a wide variety of businesses to try to educate the guidance counselors of all 5 high schools in the county, Richford, Enosburg, Fairfax, NDU, St. Albans, and to educate about what the opportunities are for those kids graduating from it. You don't need to go to college. It's a message that hasn't been conveyed for decades.
Yeah.
The end all was always college.
Yeah.
And a lot of people it didn't do justice to a lot of people. This way here, guidance counselors are being educated about what's available. It's not just lifting 50-pound bags of dog food and putting them on a pallet. Manufacturing is so much more now, and there's a great opportunity for advancement. You can get education if you choose it, then you want to go on to college but still be working. You can get educational reimbursement, and not to mention all the other benefits. So it was a good event. Hopefully it holds some water moving forward with the guidance counselors and trying to get some of these kids out to some of the businesses. It was very interesting. There was one individual that I met, associates, he's been there for 25 years. He was working there as a co-op from BFA Fairfax. Now he's leading the whole division. He programming machines. He never went to college. He had that ability to do it, and he's been a big success. So one last thing, Earl, sorry about that. We've shown the Swan Valley cheese plant to a few interested parties. One we showed about 2 weeks ago. It proved to be a little bigger than what they wanted, but we also did have, and I think Brian, you were there, we had a discussion with the current owners that they may, they're working towards putting a plan together to try to reopen. So,
How is the new business down there, the knitting ones?
Thanks. Green Mountain Knitting, or also known as Calco, bought the former Mylan building where they were doing the printing, and they've set up shop, doing well, but they also are looking for help. It's interesting to see what they make. They do a lot of fire retardant clothing, and actually the interesting one for me was they make hockey laces, which was pretty interesting.
You're only in one of those buildings, right? The other one's still used for storage by Mylan, is that correct?
No.
Mylan doesn't use any of
No,
those?
Mylan sold the building. I think it was a great buy, 2.1 million, I think. And the building was in mint condition, as you might expect from Mylan, and they.
Yeah.
But no, they're utilizing that. But I say they utilize it. Mylan sold it out. They still have they do have space that they could expand into it. And they made products that I was not aware of. They extrude light switch plates, so and stuff, other stuff like that. So, but I think they're happy with the move. They're happy to own a building. They were renting before. Happy to own a building. I think if they can find help, I think they would be. And they want to expand. You know, they have plans to expand if they can find the help. So.
Jim, I don't think we can thank the Development Corporation enough for what they've done over the years. I remember when it was started. It tells you how old I am. But it was a shot in the dark. We were in desperate need of, we were 18% unemployment, and a lot of things have changed. It's been a great asset to the community.
Thank you, Steve, and I'm a little biased, obviously, I've been here for 22 years, but I think we've had an impact, and I tell people all the time, we've had an impact because we've had support from this board and the boards that came before it. Always been supportive, the village has been supportive, Georgia, St. Albans City and Town. The county's unlike a lot of other counties in Vermont, that they understand the importance of having jobs and having people work in the communities, and so it's proven to your point, Steve, it's proven to be, I think, a huge asset, but it's the collaboration that's really made a difference over time.
It wasn't there at first, but it was certainly after the 4 or 5 years. But Tim, I have a question. Swanton really doesn't have any land left for industrial activity. And years ago, right across from where Rolly DeVoe owns, I think that's still Johnigan Drive, there was a 10 or 12 acre parcel that went up to the railroad tracks. You got the big grain company over here, and
Talking right in between Leader and Cargill.
yes, and that was deemed as a wetland, just at the stroke of a pen. And I recall how disappointed we were because that was going to be part of the industrial park. Is there any way that we might revisit that again and find a way to mitigate wherever the issues are, and even if we got a couple of acres in there, 3 or 4 acres, I think there was 12 or 14 acres in there.
I think you're right, pretty
Yeah.
close to that, because Vermont Fasteners wanted to expand into that area.
Yeah.
Um,
But now with the fact that we don't have any space, you think it'd be worthwhile just to sit down with whoever penned that decision? Because that was part of our plan, that was gonna be included in the industrial park, just to see if there's a way to carve a couple of acres out now.
No, I think conversation would definitely be the right way to go.
Yep.
I know that we had some wetland issues in the St. Albans Town Industrial Park, and they weren't nearly 12 acres, they were smaller, but we were able to mitigate them to allow for certain driveways and whatnot. But yeah, no, the troubling thing for me on that has always been, Steve, they were man-made wetlands, right?
Mhm.
Because
Oh, yeah,
your railroad went through and the bank of the railroad stopped the water, and then you put the road in, not you, but the road went in, which was elevated. So once the water flowed into that area, it had no place to go.
And it seemed like a simple remedy
Right.
today. The other part is up where VPT is. You go up the road and then you got the VPT buildings. Right straight ahead, I think there was a 4-acre parcel up there. Did that get rendered useless again with a stroke of a pen?
No, that one actually had, we've been through the permitting process, I think we could put a 40,000 square foot building there. But we FCIDC sold that land to Vermont Precision Tools.
Okay, so
So-
it could go into production
I could, yeah.
of some type,
Yep.
okay.
So that's 4 acre, 4.2.
I remember it was 4 acres, yeah.
So a little bit more, and so it's been, Peter Cross did permitting on it, I think a 40,000 square foot building. It's probably coming close to renewal, that was, 3-4 years ago, pre-COVID, so, I'll have to mention that to Monica, that she may wanna renew some of that, and I think we did mitigate some wetlands on that as well.
Okay, so I mean, mitigation is always practical if you get the right players. Now, going back to VPT's land, do you ever think there'd be a possibility that they might, if we found the right tenant, they might be interested in leasing the land or putting up a building for a tenant or something like that?
I think Monica's definitely open to it for sure.
Yeah.
I know that they continue to grow.
Yep, yep.
I'm not sure where Monica's plans are for future endeavors.
Mhm.
But once again, conversation doesn't hurt
Sure.
to have that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I just throw it out there.
But you're right about the land, right?
Yeah.
I've shared this before. So, 7 years ago, Frank Coffey and Greater Burlington Industrial Corp administered a study about the availability of industrial land in Chittenden County. And they did the study, and basically the study said in 7 years, and this was 7 years ago, in 7 years, Chittenden County is gonna run out of industrial land.
Yep.
And it's almost right on mark, because we've already had 2 talking to a 3rd company from Chittenden County looking to move up, or 2 have moved up because there was limited space, or they got bumped out of the space they were in for a bigger company. So we have 2 right now, we potentially could have a 3rd. We have, we've had a number of inquiries. We had Bobby Miller's son, Tim Miller, couldn't find land, so he's evaluating if it's something he wants to do to look at land. So the interest that we never saw before from Chittenden County developers or realtors is now on our doorstep. A lot of people are asking.
That's why I'm looking at maybe some one-offs.
Yeah.
Now, we're landlocked here, and then what is it? And then the rest of it is development rights and it's sold, and we're never gonna get anything across the property. Would it be worthwhile for us to begin looking at another parcel somewhere and consider It's a new industrial park. In Swan.
Well, we already sort of had that discussion, but we need to carry it on a little bit, and that'd be the Southern Growth District.
Yeah,
And especially now with the P.E.G transportation plan and the new building down there. We're kinda opening up the door a little bit, and St. Albans City has agreed to put water at least that far. You know, this is what I think we ought to start coming up with some kind of master plan. We talked about this before, it kinda got dropped here over the winter, but we gotta get back on that.
and there may be a parcel, around here, 10 acres or something that we might be able to manage into an industrial park, because as Chittenden County comes north, they go through St. Albans, they're gonna be here. You know, when you run that way up.
Yeah, they got an exit right there.
Yeah,
No, never, in my opinion, there's never anything wrong with land banking.
yeah, that's right.
Because this generation, it may not get used, but the next generation, as, you know, has housing developed, as the area grows. Franklin County is one of the few areas growing in the county, in the state. And I don't think it hurts to, I mean, the St. Albans Town Industrial Park, we bought that 15 years ago, and only now are we getting activity. And we expected it to be a while, but we're starting to see some you know, fruits of our labor, if you will. So we've got 2 discussions going on for potentially 30 acres, and I don't get too excited until
Yeah,
I see a check or a shovel in the ground, but that, people know it's there, and people are looking, and there's a need, and you know, you hear a lot of discussion about bringing manufacturing back into the States. You know, with Vermont work ethic, you never know what's gonna materialize.
Is there potential outgrowth from, is it Beta? Is that gonna attract other similar like business or supportive businesses?
Could very well be. So Beta, they're in the Energizer building.
Yeah.
They're only utilizing 10 to 12,000 square feet now, but they have a lease on 150, so they're subleasing space to other companies. And as they grow, they'll continue to use that space. I think early on, next couple of years, they're looking at 60 employees, 60 to 100 is what I hear, and then continued growth after that for 3, 4, 5 years. If you've been by, they're investing money in the facility. You don't see a lot of it's out behind Energizer, but they brought the stormwater infrastructure up to speed. So they've done a lot of things and continue. So yeah, I think it's only going to bring more activity.
Now, for all these things to take place, what about housing needs? Is that creating part of the labor shortage?
Oh, for sure. Just a few anecdotes that I've heard. Barry Calvo hired an individual, moved here. His partner got a job at Ben & Jerry's, and they looked for a place to live. They ended up renting a home in P.E.G, New York. So they were traveling an hour a day just to work, I say just, but to work at Barry Calvo and Ben & Jerry's. That didn't last long. They couldn't. It wasn't cost effective, and they left both those jobs. I mean, that's just one example. You've got the Steve, you may have heard from your daughter, but the DFA has a HR person who's been here for 6 or 8 months looking for a home, can't find one. It all depends how long they want, how long is their patience, right? How long, if they can't find something, then a lot of people will move on.
pretty encouraging news in the Messenger though about what the city's doing with, but that's a few years out.
Right.
You know, 2 or 3 years out, but still it's.
The city's goal is to create 200 jobs,
Yeah.
or 200 housing units. But it's not cheap.
Well, 200 is not really gonna be enough.
No, it's just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Or at least it's a
All
start.
county.
It's a start.
It's a start, right, yeah, no, it's,
Well, I have to go back to what, the Southern Gulf District, a part of that could be high density housing with services. Close to where most of the employers are. Then a certain area that'd be set aside for manufacturing too.
No, mixed use, yeah.
Yeah.
You look at what they've done in Tap Corners in that area, I think.
Yep.
And even Severance Corners in Colchester with that housing, and I think the hospital's in there, and some retail and restaurants. I think those are nice developments for sure.
If we were to go forward, trying to, put together some kind of master plan, overall master, not a detailed thing or anything like that, just so that we could find out some of the things we're gonna need. I'm sure you guys would assist us on that.
I knew that was coming.
Well, you know, at least you know people who are in the business.
Right, so to your point, yes, many of you don't, so we did, Steve, I don't know if you followed it, but we did a new strategic plan. And what we heard from a lot of people was, why are you continuing to try to recruit new business, manufacturing mainly, if we can't fill what we have? And so part of and I'm not saying we're going away from that, but part of another sort of tangent we're going down is to try to improve quality of life. So, which would attract more people to come here, and then it'll continue to grow the area. We contributed, Gordon's back. We assisted Gordon in his project with the Ace Hardware. We got a grant for $20,000. FCIDC put 10,000 of that, so there's 30,000 that we invested in Swanton to do some engineering for the relocation for BMTM. We assisted in some moving costs for BMTM to go, so a little bit of both. We bought the Pearly block up in downtown Enosburg. We haven't gone there. We have 2 retail spots. We have apartments and we have office space, which is bringing activity. So to your question, Earl, it's not a lot of money, usually in that 10,000 range. We contributed 10,000 to Richford to hire a town administrator, and he's made a huge difference. He's brought in a lot of grants. He's has focus on where Richford wants to go. So yes, we would have some funding to assist. I think we're going to be assisting Montgomery in their project for new water and sewer. We gave 10,000 to Highgate to promote their water and sewer as well. So we're more active in community, downtown, quality of life type stuff, and yes, we would be more than willing to assist.
Well, I think we probably need as much assistance in who do we, work with, from a professional consultant standpoint. To put something reasonable together at a reasonable price that we could start passing around to generate interest, and also to see what, get the things done that we need, so that we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we definitely make some introductions and have conversations and see what that price tag's gonna look like.
And that's your job, Steve.
40 years, so.
Yeah. So, I don't know, you guys can get together and try to get, and we come back to the board and, make some kind of decision and decide,
Well, it's gonna take a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
We won't be making decisions for a
Yeah.
while, but I think just keeping it going, every once in a while, an opportunity comes forward,
Right,
and we just need to be thinking about this stuff so we can act.
yeah.
Yeah, and unless there's more questions, but what I leave with a lot of people, in many conversations is, there's hundreds of rural counties across this country that trade places with Franklin County and Harvey. And I know we have their issues, I know dairy, milk prices, I know that's an issue for sure. But there's so much more that the region has to offer. There's healthcare and government jobs, and manufacturing. We have a higher level of manufacturing jobs than outside of Shin County and the rest of Vermont. We have growing populations. We haven't even talked about the Love Valley Rail Trail, what that's going to bring to the area. There's just a lot of assets for the region, you know, and don't get me wrong, there's always room for improvement, but, I think we've done well over the years.
Yeah.
We being the aggregate of
Yeah.
so.
Well, there's no question Franklin County's not a bad place in this country, I've seen that.
Oh, you
this
saw
winter.
that, you and I talked about that.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough to go on a cross-country
Yeah.
trip last summer, and saw it firsthand. That's for sure.
Certainly appreciate it more water when you're
A
gone.
lot of places a lot worse than around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Even right in this state.
Yeah.
Pretty fortunate.
Well, does anybody else have any questions for Tim? Well, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate all you do.
Nice to meet you.
Always a pleasure, Tim.
Thank you, Ed.
We're gonna try to work you harder.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Alright, so now,
We're gonna quote it Joel.
yep, Joel, and then recreation.
Good evening, folks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, update on the LVRT parking. First meeting with VHB, the consultant, was held on 11 April via Teams. Brian, myself, and 3 members of VHB were in attendance. We discussed various aspects of the project and a timeline. They expect to get us a revised site plan, possibly as early as the end of May. They had a few suggestions that they wanted to try, so we told them to go ahead and take a look at it, revise it, and get it back to us. That revised site plan will become the basis for reviewing wetland, stormwater, archaeological concerns. Really don't think we have an issue with any of those, but that's the process they need to go through. There also has to be a federal environmental review done. My experience with that is this should be fairly straightforward. It should not definitely not require an impact statement or anything like that. They call it a category exclusion, but it still takes time to get that done and submitted and approved. So, as we mentioned before, construction most likely will be spring of 2024. Did talk to them a little bit to keep in mind that we might like to do some of the clearing ourselves this fall. And they will take that into consideration. And I have no real concerns at this time to bring forward to the board. Brian, I don't know if you got anything you want to add to that summary?
No, I think you covered it pretty well, Joel, as usual.
I think we had a good start of the meeting and a good understanding of what this project involves, and looking forward to continue working with VHB. They've done so much work on that LVRT and other projects for the state related to rail trails that I think they're going to give us a good product.
I agree.
So everything's on schedule.
So far, we are doing okay. I will update you at the beginning of May when I get back in town.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Joel.
night.
You're welcome.
All right, now we'll move on to recreation community center discussion. Somebody want to start?
Well, I think the way we left it last meeting was feasibility, right?
Yep. That's what
So
we
you
left.
were gonna have some firms,
Yeah, we do have more information available tonight.
okay.
Okay.
I know that I had sent along some information,
Yeah,
but I don't know what,
I've
if
seen it.
if it's useful to you, or if there's any further discussion about that. But I don't know how we're gonna,
Well, I think the first thing we should do is, Steve and Brian met with at least one firm.
One firm, yep. And Steve and I met through Teams or Zoom, one of those, with Mr. Ken Ballard.
Yep.
And Steve took better notes, and but we had a good conversation with Mr. Ballard. We forwarded some information And then, we were going to get back to him after tonight's meeting as to which direction we wanna go.
Yeah, he's going to take, he's gonna give us a proposal. And I gotta tell you, we learned a lot. He was very gracious and answered a lot of questions. And it's interesting, his firm has done 3 projects in Vermont, 3 feasibility studies, exactly for, community centers, rec centers.
And the name of his firm?
Pardon me?
The name of his firm?
It's recreation planning, I think it is, but we haven't made any commitment to it.
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
that's all.
I think it's recreation planning, and if you can remember what it was.
I can't, I
Yeah.
can look it up. But
And so, but the general discussion was, I think, very informative. He was right up front, he said about 25% of these projects move forward. He said it takes 2 to 3 years, in many cases, before you reach a decision. He said many of them have to be reconfigured, which we understand. And one of them, for example, he said it went forward with significant modifications to the original plan. One has been going on 4 years, I think it is, 5 years. And part of that was COVID related, as we might understand. And that's back in play. Let's see, and he mentioned that their firm does what they call the front end feasibility study, no design work, no engineering, no architectural stuff. And we will get, if we decide to go with him, we would naturally research in quite a bit of depth so that we make the right decision. So he's gonna take what we sent him, he's gonna take what I saw came in this afternoon, send that to him. But they have the software that they can import all the demographics. We talked about the size of our community, the competition right around us. And he said, okay, good, that's all the stuff we need. But he'll take our information, massage it, and come back with a recommendation based on his study. So I was quite pleased. I thought the guy was quite upfront with us.
Yeah.
And what was his name?
Ken Ballard, and I think it's recreation planning. We'd have to get on, we had his website in front of us when we were talking.
No, what information would he provide compared to what we've received already?
He would do an independent evaluation of this area, and he would take the input of what we could provide him, but they would go out and build their own database and come up with a conclusion. And that's why we asked for a feasibility study by a third party that would have an independent view of what we're trying to do. I think a lot of it would validate what we're looking at.
Now, is given pros and cons, would that validation be worth the money spent?
I don't know,
I don't know.
don't know.
Then, they didn't mention anything about finding other funding sources.
That was a significant part of the reason why some of these went on, because it took some time to get the funding, outside funding. You know, it's out there and it's probably competitive, which is fine if the best should survive. So we haven't talked about that here yet, and I'm sure we will. But when he'll come back to us with a proposal, and I think it's probably worthwhile for us to sit and talk with him, just like Brian and I did, and ask him questions and get comfortable with him and see what he gives us for a proposal.
He's coming back for the proposal, but we did not send out a request for proposal.
Not yet. We said we're way too early. But he's gonna give us an idea of what it would cost if he were to go forward.
But you just said that you're sending him information.
Yeah.
So he's not, but we haven't, he's gonna send you back a proposal?
He's gonna take a look at our information and give us an idea what it would cost for him to do a feasibility study.
Okay,
Yeah,
I understand that. Alright, so he'd be one of probably, that's the only one that we've talked to. Have you contacted any other firms in this field?
Okay, first of all, the name of this company is Ballard and King Associates, Highland Ranch, Colorado. Okay, there was another firm that, we were given the name of that, is located out in Utah, but they are into basically doing stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean, huge
Yeah.
facilities. So, this is the only one that we've actually had direct contact and actually set up a meeting and talked with. So that's,
And we can talk with others. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not limited to just this company, but we'll probably interview 3 or 4, before we bring something forward.
Well, I think we should agree on some kind of, request for proposals, what's gonna be in there. You know, other than the feasibility part, I think we also gotta have, where can we get other funding?
We have to.
That's gotta be part of what we're gonna be wanting these people to come, you
But
know.
I don't think this
I
firm
don't
is
think
gonna,
they'll get into that.
they're not gonna get into funding, that's up to us.
I know, but they're not gonna, they're not even gonna be able to say, well, maybe if you go, there's a grants here, there's grants, they're not gonna do that.
That's our business.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Mark Rushland, because I'm on the outside. What is the need, or you feel there's a need for the feasibility study? You're doing the feasibility study on the upright payment for the building to put in place? Or are you doing the feasibility study on the longevity of what it's gonna take to fund it?
It's a cost feasibility.
To build it?
No, we already got a cost, roughly.
Yeah.
3+ million. So it's, you know, I mean, remember when you were on board, it was, you know, we were
No,
talking a
that's why
million.
I'm asking.
We were talking a million, now we're talking 3 million.
Yeah, 3
And that 3 million might be a hell of a lot harder sell to get voters to approve it. So the more money, outside money we can bring in, the more better opportunity we got of getting something approved.
But if I heard you right, you just say he's not gonna tell you what grants are.
That's why I'm asking
So
him
that's
that
why there's
question.
2 things I'm hearing, that's why I'm asking.
That's right, but that's why I'm saying if we're gonna put a request for proposals out there, it needs to include that.
Well, I don't think he's gonna,
But if they're an outside,
He's
the
not
state,
gonna do that.
they're not gonna know what grants
no,
are.
he's not gonna do that.
Well, and feasibility studies aren't gonna give you that information.
No.
So we need to figure out what we're actually looking
That's what I'm
for,
asking.
because we're not gonna spend X amount of money if we're not getting what we want.
Well, we're gonna need to find other funding.
Right, but that's not what,
A feasibility's
that's not a
okay,
feasibility study. What we
It should
fe-
be part of it. Because that's
it's
what-
not going to be.
It's 2 different things.
It's 2 different things, it's 2 separate things. So,
I understand what you're saying, yes, the feasibility part is gonna be separate, but on the other side, why couldn't the one company do that too?
They can't.
They don't,
not-
they
They
can't,
don't.
they don't do it. That's it.
But-
They,
I mean,
won't.
we can find funding opportunities ourselves.
Well, you better get looking if you're gonna do this, because it's
Well,
gonna
we
be tough to
We
do
can't
3
go
million.
look for funding until we have a plan. That's the thing, like, we have to have a plan and numbers. We can't, and we're kinda at a standstill until we have a plan in place to present for funding.
Well, a feasibility study would at least get that done.
It's just,
You're gonna need the numbers.
Well,
we
let's-
have the
let's-
numbers.
let's-
I know you got your
Feasibility's gonna
number, but you know, we're talking about feasibility, the total impact on the town.
We,
And that's gonna justify why we need funding.
Well, we figured out the cost to the taxpayer for the $3.1 million or 3 point
Yeah.
whatever, okay?
Yeah, I've seen that number,
I'm
yeah.
curious
Yeah.
though, so 2 years ago when we were going forward with this, the estimated cost was 1.6, right? So now we're 2 years down the road and now we're looking at 3.5 million. What's it gonna be 4 years down the road?
right,
And then you lose the ARPA funds by that time. My name's Jason Guyette, by the way, and I am the lone member on Swanton Recreation that's part of the village.
Yeah.
So I'm also curious what steps we're taking to include the village in this decision-making process, because it is Swanton Recreation that serves both communities.
Well, the village is very well aware of the project,
Yeah.
but this will be a general fund issue.
Mhm.
So yes, residents of the village will pay like you do now for recreation. You'll pay the same tax rate as everybody else.
I'm not concerned
Oh.
about the cost of the taxes, I'm concerned with us approaching, the board of trustees, to talk to them about this proposal going forward and perhaps delaying the project by 4 years. Actually, it'd probably be 6 years by the time it would end up being done.
Well, that's always a possibility with any project of this size.
4 years is what you quoted, sir.
Well, if you wanna hold me to things like that, go ahead, if it makes you feel better.
Well, I don't wanna get the discussion going this way.
We don't have 4 years,
Well,
because we're gonna lose our funding.
Okay, I wanna say this, first thing, I understand you need another facility. I've been there, it's just
Yeah.
a freaking garage, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Something needs to be done. But what's gonna happen if we don't do this right and we can't get it passed?
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah, what
Oh.
would the rec committee do if it doesn't pass?
You go back to the drawing board.
Then we go back to the drawing board and figure something out. I mean, that's gonna happen in any project that comes through the village or the town. I mean, we've never had gone to vote on something this big before.
I know, but if it doesn't pass, that's right, we've never done anything this big, that's
There's a
the other
possibility it
reason.
won't pass and there's a possibility it will,
Yeah.
but we don't know that, Earl.
Okay, so if we do this feasibility study, we're gonna have a good idea what the costs are gonna be. You're gonna have the information you need to go out and get other funding.
What costs are we trying to get from the feasibility study?
feasibility study when we already know?
It's the operating cost.
Yes, the operating
Basically,
costs,
the
the
operating
changes
costs.
over, I would assume they're gonna put something in a computer model. And then you can come up with different scenarios.
But aren't they gonna get that information from the record? How many
They're gonna get it
in the
from them.
program? But they're telling you,
Not
At the end
all
of the
the
day.
information, Mark, will come from there, they'll do their own
When
gathering
it
of
comes to
demographic
the
information.
demographic part, yeah.
And they'll apply that to their database. They're gonna use our information to assist them. But we're not gonna do all the work for them to put through their database and then we pay them. They're gonna do a separate study for us. And let's go back just to the beginning. Everybody wants this project to go forward. I don't think there's anyone in this village or town that doesn't want the rec center, and I call it the community center too. We all want it. The thing is, how big is it gonna be? How much can we afford? Can we find some outside funding? And the list goes on and on. We may have to change what we're looking for, and that's not a failure, that's a success. But when we bring this to the voters, we wanna make sure that we've covered every base and we're gonna get a yes vote. Now, we know there's gonna be a shortfall, because I don't think we can generate enough income. Your numbers look good, I looked through those this afternoon, I've got some questions and I have a suggestion on that. The numbers look good, but we know there's gonna be a shortfall. We need to identify that shortfall so that we can say to the taxpayers, we're gonna deliver this really nice facility. We've got all these services we're gonna provide, but at the end of the day, it ain't gonna pay for itself. So we're gonna ask you to commit to funding this for the next 20 years or 30 years, whatever the length of the bond issue is. That's what we have to do, and we have to be prepared to do that. So if it takes us a little bit longer to get a good product, so be it. But at the voting time, we walk away with a yes vote. But we don't know yet what the deficiency is gonna be. I saw the information that came back from the Peoples today with some definitions of bond terms and things. So we'll have to apply that to the model, because in the stuff that your group presented, it shows, I've got it somewhere here, every year for the first 5 years, there's a shortfall, and it does go down. That's fine, that's what we're hoping for. But we have to also remember that there's a probability factor that we have to apply to those projections. It's probably 25% that we would not use in our calculations, because it's a ramp-up situation. You're not gonna open the doors and have all this happen at once. But that's what happens with a project like this. So we need to identify, what is it gonna cost the taxpayers? When we say to them, we want you to approve a bond of whatever it is, net of what money we can find out there, and say, by the way, this is what it's gonna cost you. Every year, you're gonna commit to it. We have to make sure that it's pretty accurate and it's reasonable. So that's where we're headed.
If I may, Steve?
Sure, go ahead.
Your bond number is not gonna change. Once you bonded that, it's your operating cost that's gonna change.
Right.
And don't forget, the bond is gonna be made to Swanton. They really don't care about the success. They're not gonna look at the numbers of the rec center, because they're looking at the full faith and credit of Swanton to pay this. It's incidental to, but we have to be clear with the taxpayers. In addition to the bond payments, you're gonna be faced with covering a shortfall of something. And will it ever turn around to be a net positive? I don't think it ever will. But that's fine, that's what we're here for.
I would almost I think the rector's done a tremendous job having a net at the end of the year, year after year.
Absolutely, nobody's saying that.
And I think it's gonna be a short term if, there's line items, in my opinion, from being on that side, that in the budget, that we could cut down, that it's not gonna increase the tax rate that much outside the bond, that we could say, hey, this is the future of our community. Somebody over here may need to pay a little bit, just for a number, just say that you funded the chamber, just for a figure of speech, $100,000, well, we can only give you 75 this year. That's what's gonna probably have to happen. The rec is the future, and we talked about housing up on Southern Gulf District. The guy was in here just 2 meetings ago talking about 22, 24 units. That's tax base we don't have now, that's just gonna continue to drive, and they're gonna come to the rec center. I get the concern of shortfalls. I don't think it's gonna be where you're hoping it's not gonna be.
Well, I hope it isn't, but we don't know
We
what
don't
it
know,
is.
I get it, but.
And you know, the fact is, Nicole and her staff, they're making ice cream out of dirt. They're doing a tremendous job. My wife and I went up and visited. It's pretty impressive what they do. So nobody's saying that we don't wanna go forward, but we don't have all the answers yet.
But, and you're right, but we can't wait 4 years. Cause your ARPA funds are gone, your price is gonna be pushing 6, 7.
Well, we didn't say it's gonna be 4 years. It could be up to 4
But if
years.
you're waiting
It could be
for
2
that.
years. It could be 1 year. We don't know yet.
I'm just curious why it would take so long to do a feasibility study on a shortfall
Well, we
based on
don't,
a
wait a
demographic
minute,
of numbers.
I don't think it's gonna take that long to do feasibility, so.
Did he give an estimate in cost?
That would be, if we did, yes, there'd be 2 things, that's what we'd be looking for. The
And
cost
would
of
we be
doing
going-
it and the time it takes to do it,
And
okay?
would we be going for 3 separate bids from these companies to do this?
Normally, more than one.
Yeah, it'd be one request for proposals and then hopefully more than one company would reply.
And when you're submitting for the bond process, doesn't that walk you through the same feasibility study process in order to determine whether or
They're
not
not
it's
gonna
worth
give-
it for you to do that?
They're not gonna give you money without looking at your numbers. I mean, you went to the bond thing, and what did they say about the feasibility? Do you have to have a feasibility study to get a bond?
If it's a general obligation bond, as Steve said, they don't care, because it's the faith and credit of the entire brand list of the town of Swanton.
But the
That's
bond has
security.
somebody that will come in and sit down and look at your numbers.
The town number.
They're gonna take a look at the town
town
numbers.
numbers, not necessarily the project.
Swanton is in good shape financially.
Yeah.
And we could borrow 3 million, I'm sure,
Yeah.
if we could get the taxpayers to pay for it. That's all they're gonna look at, is the financial conditions in Swanton. The project is incidental, they're gonna say, gee, great job.
Right, they're 2 different things.
Yeah, absolutely, 2 different things, not even related.
Now, if it were a revenue bond,
Correct.
that would be different,
That's right.
and that's the village, like for the electric department, water department, that would be different. They'd
You're
be
paying for that with that revenue
Yeah.
to pay for that.
Well, my suggestion is that we go forward with the request for proposals for a feasibility study on what it's gonna cost to operate and probably the total effect on the tax rate, cause you're gonna have to take in the bond payment.
Yep.
And when we do that, when we send that request for proposal out, we gotta find out how much the cost is and how long it's gonna take, when the completion date is expected.
And if we meet with Mr. Ballard again, anybody's welcome to sit in. This isn't clandestine thing here, you know?
Well, we didn't get an invite to
Well, we
sit
didn't
down
know
with
about
him,
it,
so.
it was a quick thing.
But we're not gonna do, we really don't need to meet with Mr. Ballard again unless he sends us a proposal.
Well, we'll just see if he needs any other information.
You know,
just
but we need to get the request for proposals out there. That's what we need to do, and we need to get it out quickly.
You can do the request for proposal, and you don't even have to accept the proposal.
That's right, we don't have to accept
The
that.
cost is gonna be, I'm just saying, time's of the essence, to hit
That's
that
right.
March warning, you can't wait.
Is it possible to keep the rec copied on all communications?
Well, I think we go further than that. I think that in the next couple of weeks, I'd like to sit down, and I think the board would, with the rec committee, and I've got some questions on your numbers, that, you know, they're good, but I have a lot of questions. Let's get these questions answered.
You know, if we're gonna do a feasibility study, Steve, we need to get that out there, we need to get the request out
Yeah,
there.
I realize that.
You know,
But
that we
we're
need
gonna-
to do.
We're gonna be providing some information, and let's make sure we fully understand it. But in addition, I'd love to see an agenda item where the rec committee is on our agenda every month, every week, every 2 weeks, so that we can be kept abreast of what's going on. There's no secrets going on, and total communication, wide open, no executive session stuff, all wide open.
If I may, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt, when you say come to the meeting, but isn't that what the select board representative for the rec is, to bring back that information?
Cody comes to our meetings. He's our rec representative.
Whatever makes you comfortable, okay?
Well, I wanna make everybody comfortable. I think I don't know if I come to a meeting the select board meeting every month, every 2 weeks, what do you need from me?
We don't know. We could put you on the agenda, and you don't have, I'm just throwing this out as a communication tool. We could have an agenda item, a standing item, where we could have discussions with the rec committee. If there's nothing to discuss, we don't meet, you don't come in. But in the meantime, we have a good communication flow going back and forth.
I mean, Cody comes to our meetings. If you need communication, we meet monthly.
That's fine.
Kind of just,
That's fine. If you're comfortable with that, that's fine.
I mean, I don't want the rec department not put on, if they're on the agenda, then I'll come to the meeting because I don't want discussion to happen without me in the room. But if we don't have anything to discuss, I know you wanted to sit down and talk about numbers, but when are we gonna do that? In a public meeting, or are we gonna do that?
Whatever makes you work, okay?
Well, no, I don't know.
Well, when you're all
You wanna do
together,
it, you wanna do it next week?
It probably would be better if you're gonna do that we probably don't do it at a meeting, you have that discussion and bring back to the meeting, to our meeting, what came out of that discussion.
Sure.
Because, you know, I mean, we have a lot on our agenda as it is, and, you know.
You and however many members you've got of your commission, so you're gonna be careful not to get.
Yeah,
one
yeah.
else.
We know.
The same here, so, I mean, if two of the select board members want to meet with you, it's up to them, you know, Cody and Steve, and I can be there, it doesn't matter if I'm there or not, as far as the right to know law. And, the same numbers for you if you want, or you meet one-on-one.
Alright.
My biggest, just to add real quick, my biggest concern is that the feasibility study is gonna kind of push back anything that's hopefully, any forward progress that's happening, and the extra cost. You know, like where's that cost gonna come from? You know, who's gonna
What do you
front?
mean by cost for it?
Well, feasibility study isn't free.
No.
Right, so
We know that.
I'd be curious to see how much that costs and who would have to pay.
Well, that's
for
what he's
that.
gonna
That's
tell
what
us.
the
Yeah.
request
That's what he's
for.
gonna tell us.
Yeah, if we don't do a request for proposal, we're not gonna have any of that information.
right, but who's paying
It's
for
like
it?
who's paying for it?
The request for proposal,
No, the feasibility study.
the ARPA money,
But
Why?
because it's part of the project.
But it's not, can I make a request that, yes, you gave us the $600,000, but if you have leftover ARPA funds, can you utilize that instead of keep taking from our
I know
pot?
you'd like to do that, and we'd like to do that, but really, Betsy, we ain't got much of that money left.
Well, you guys are the ones that are requesting a feasibility study.
I know, but it's part of the project, and, you know, and I don't think we're gonna be successful unless we do
Then
it.
you're putting more on the taxpayers by not using money that we already have allocated.
I understand that, but I don't think this is gonna be $100,000, you know?
Even if it's $50,000, it doesn't matter, it's still coming out
I
of
know
that.
it's gonna come out of there.
But I think the ARPA money, if I understand it correctly, I'm still new here, that was reserved for this project.
The 600.
Yeah,
600,000.
It was reserved.
Towards,
We haven't-
towards the
Build.
building, not
Construction.
towards.
Well, that's not really true, Betsy, because you used it, we've been using it to pay cross, and that's coming out of the 600,000.
Because that's part of the construction
design.
Well, I know, but you
Design.
still, now you gotta get money for it, so if you're gonna need these numbers, now you say you can use your numbers, but wonder if they want some, they start requesting more. Like you're saying the bonds don't care, but if you're going for grants and stuff like that, they may request more than what you've got.
They really want a design, is what they're gonna need.
I don't think anybody really is asking for.
No one's gonna ask for numbers.
Oh, I think you're wrong. I think that if we go out and try to seek funding, they're gonna wanna take a look at this on the merits of what it does for the community and what it costs. Now, we could probably try to find some money to cover the cost of the study we're talking about. See if we can find something at the state level, and Brian can talk with the folks in Montpelier, and the same, maybe we can find all of the costs, half the cost, we don't know, but we should go after it. There's no, why walk away from the dollar on the table if we,
So are you folks gonna go after that money, or do you expect the rec to do that?
I think we should do it together.
Okay.
And just one final question, has there been a motion from the board?
No.
On the feasibility study?
No,
No.
Or is it just,
no. Yeah,
should there be? I think there should be.
Yeah, there should be, definitely.
That's what I'm asking, if it hasn't
You
been.
know, I mean, we've been talking about it, and I'm at the
A month
point
in.
where either we're gonna make the motion and do it, or we're just gonna drop the whole idea.
I guess that's where I'm at.
Because it
The
can
whole
all-
idea of the feasibility study.
Right,
Oh, okay.
don't get nervous, don't get nervous, Jesus Christ. No, I mean, you know, either we're gonna do it or we're not gonna do it, and now it's time to make the decision. You know, and let's not keep dragging it on to another meeting, because it's gonna be the same discussion, this is the same discussion we had at the last meeting.
That's why I asked that question.
Well, and if you're gonna go out and get bids, then looking at feasibility firms, we should probably know if we're even gonna move forward with it.
What do you mean, you were still moving, this is part of moving forward.
No,
No,
I mean,
motion.
with the
Making
study,
the motion.
Yeah, making the motion, that's.
Like-
Oh, okay, oh, alright.
yeah, because
Yeah.
then you guys talk about it, but do you all want it?
Well, that's what
I
I'm
don't
sitting
know.
right here, and I'm asking, you know, the board, does the board wanna make that motion? And does the board wanna pass it?
I'll make the motion that we enlist a feasibility study. We seek bids from at least 2 firms. This is a pretty specialized type of study. And we get back to the board and make the decision if we're gonna be able to afford to pay for it. And we seek funding from outside sources if we can.
And that feasibility study will, or that request for proposal is gonna, we need a time on it, how quick.
Well,
You know, somebody says, well, we can do it, but we won't start till January, I don't think that's gonna be acceptable.
We need it
Yes.
now by October. I'm gonna give them to, if at all possible, all I want.
Well, we'll have to see, if they come back to us with a ridiculous timetable, no,
Right.
you know, we're not gonna do it.
It's,
Well, then we'll have
But that
wasted
needs to
more
be-
money.
And it needs to be
At
in
a
the
time.
request for proposal, so it needs to be decided upon now.
Yes. That would be part of it, there's no sense having them send us a proposal, because they can't do it in our time frame.
But as we interview these folks, we'd ask them when can they deliver?
No, we're sending out a request for proposal that's gonna ask them that. And if they can't deliver in that same time, do you still wanna interview with them and?
No. Let's try this again. We're gonna talk to some folks, once we decide if it's 2 or 3 firms that we would like to talk to provide this service. In our discussions with them, just like we would with Mr. Ballard, we'd say, what's your timetable? And if they came back with a ridiculous timetable, we say, okay, fine, appreciate your time, and we move on. But I think this is something, this isn't a long, not like we're buying a bank here.
When
This
you
is,
say
this is,
we move on, I'm sorry, we move on as in we skip the feasibility study and just move on with the project?
no, we look for another firm to do it for us.
And if they all have a time frame that's not within our time frame,
I think we have to discuss that.
recreation is big right now. Everybody is going to bat for their communities
Mhm.
for these types of projects.
Yeah, they should.
Well, we need to have a time frame in that request for proposal. I really don't see any need to sit down talking to somebody if they can't work in our time schedule.
Because we've also got the design phase on halt as well, waiting to figure out what the board wants to do with the feasibility study, and the longer we wait for that, you know, we're continuing to make the cycle wait. It is a really big hope that tonight that we walk away exactly with the plan on how we're gonna move forward with this project. Because it is incredibly frustrating to continue to hear everybody talk different ways about the same thing moving forward, and we need to discuss if there is going to be a feasibility study, the request for proposals need to go out and need to be back at a certain amount of time, what that request for proposal needs to look like, and if moving forward, that, you know, are we going to continue moving the design forward while we wait to see these feasibility studies, or what, you know, there's so many other parts of this project.
That's another discussion, and it's probably gonna have to be had, but I think tonight we gotta make a decision. We do have a motion on the floor to do the feasibility. It has not been seconded. So,
I second it.
alright, so now we have a motion that's been made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? And I'll allow some, but not gonna go on much more than 5 or 10 more minutes.
Is there a firm locally?
What's that?
Is there a firm locally that's able to do this?
That's what we're hoping to find out.
Okay. Somebody that kind of could understand Swanton.
Somebody has to have experience in this type of study though.
Right, but I heard Colorado and these other states,
Utah.
Utah, they have no idea what,
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I firmly believe they have no idea what Swanton is.
well,
Let's just wait until we see what we get back.
Okay.
answer his question.
Yeah.
The firm that we did speak to work for the city of South Burlington, to work for the city of Rutland, and currently doing a project for the city of Montpelier. So they're very familiar with Vermont.
Oh, that's good to hear.
3 big cities.
Should the motion be modified to state the bids should be pursued in accordance with government, state government and local laws? Mr. Bourgeois said two bidders. I'm just curious, and I don't know what it is, but to cover all your bases, make sure that you're covered by government municipal law. If that's, I know for the federal government, you have to have at least 3 bidders that are out there. So I just want to make sure that you are covering your bases. You know, we don't just kick us down the road even further.
I mean, the three feasibility studies I was part of on the board, the McQuam Shore feasibility study downtown, at least them two, we had more than 3 on each of them, just
I understand your concern, but I think that would be a decision if we only get one back.
You just have to pursue 3.
Yeah,
And then just go through
Yeah, because it is a specialized.
yeah. We're not sure. The only way we're gonna find out is we put the request for proposals out there and see who replies.
so the first and second, was there a vote?
There's a first and a second. I was gonna allow a little more.
Sorry,
So, does anybody else want to say anything?
I can't vote, so.
Not this time.
The only thing I want to say, Earl, is I just want to make it clear to the people here tonight that, like Steve said, we're all in favor. But we've got to do this study to make sure that the numbers make sense and this is going to be a success, not a failure.
That's my concern too.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I will say that I've been in Swanton for 18 years now, almost 19. And what I've found is that Swanton is a very great community to live in until someone tries to move forward with something that's gonna change or improve the community. And then at that point in time, no offense, gentlemen, but a lot of people whose children have grown up and they are no longer in the systems that require these services are absolutely against them. And they put various roadblocks in there to delay things, to get things that then won't pass. When I look at things and I look at the wisdom of old men, is that we know that we start planting acorns and we know that we will never see their shade, right? My youngest child is one more year left in rec, but I'm so for this because I care very much about my children coming back to the state of Vermont, back to this community and raising their children, giving back the same way people like Toby McGuire do. I'd love to have a future for Aiden and Andrew's kids to come back to and play in. I think that would it'd just be wonderful. And we need to move forward. Because if you're here in the summer and you see how many kids we turn away for our summer camps and the fact that they don't even have shelter, then we go to the church and we go to the library and we go to the current community center to bring these kids to have shelter in case of rain. It's awful.
And what's our maximum kid occupancy? 26. How many kids are in this total community?
It's not just for recreation, though. It's other
Right.
programs that are this.
Right, oh, absolutely.
Well, you know, I wanna see this happen too, and that's why I wanna do it right. And this is big for Swan. I know you guys are in the rec business and you do a hell of a job considering what you're working with. But if we can't get the community to support this, you know, what are you gonna do? We could scale it back, okay, you'd have to come back with something less, but maybe we can, if we do this right, we can get everything that we want. That's all, you know, we're just trying to do it and you know, if we're gonna bond, I
But we
mean,
need the
this is
decision
a big
to
issue for
take it
Swan.
to them.
Swan has never bonded in its history, the town.
If you build it, they'll come.
Exactly.
Well,
Planning for our future, Earl, you
I know.
said it 100 million times.
I know, I am, but I guess I think we just need to do it, you know, step back here and get things right so that it happens.
We hear the caution,
Well,
we're 8 months, 9 months in, and we're no farther ahead.
I'm
Other than having a building plan.
I'm tired of seeing our kids go to the next town over and go to their school system for the athletics and for the education and for the services that their rec offers.
The adults are going to St. Albans for recreation. I mean, we're losing.
Alright, we got 1 minute left before I call the vote. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I personally don't feel like there's a need for a feasibility study because being immersed in the community that I've been in for the last I don't know how many months, that to me that was our feasibility study. I mean, I can probably count the people on one hand that really don't want anything to do with this, and the hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are for it and wanted to see it go. Let's hurry up because I kind of echo. We are losing a ton of kids to these bordering towns and cities and whatnot.
This is why we stopped the 4th Street sale for the rec center to build it. So keep that in mind.
Alright. The motion been made and seconded. I think we've had ample discussion.
Good discussion, Dave.
Yeah, very good.
So, I'm gonna call the vote. All those in favor?
Hi.
I abstain.
That's right. And your nay. I'm glad that you work for the rec department, because that leaves me, I don't have to work. Well, I guess I'm gonna be completely honest, I would've voted for it, okay?
You can't say that.
I would've voted for it, because I think it's the right thing to do, in order to get this done.
Can I ask you, okay, now that the vote is passed, I just want to clarify something. You mentioned that Nicole is your representative.
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
good. Okay,
No.
That ended right there. I just want to make sure.
Cody is.
Cody.
Okay,
Cody's the one we appointed,
Yeah.
to be the rec department from the select board,
yeah, thank
be
you.
our representative.
So the motion is passed.
The motion passed.
So I'll get that out tomorrow.
But I would like you to, when you put that proposal together, I mean, do you mind coming to, can somebody come in and sit down to see what he's putting, to put out there?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, do you mind that, Brian?
I'd gladly take a look at whatever Brian puts together if he emails it to me. And share it with Rick as well.
Okay,
Thanks, Joel.
Thanks, Joel.
alright. Alright, do you wanna talk some more?
No.
Long day of playing with kids. Time to go home.
Thank you all, thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
Alright.
Thank you guys.
See ya, thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Alright, now we'll go back to where we skipped and started, law enforcement, what all we have tonight is animal control.
Which the report in your packet.
Actually gonna talk with, Mr. Jim, and he's, I don't know if he told you he's going on vacation.
Yeah.
Okay.
June.
Yeah, so I think
For a
all
month.
those will be forwarded in Swanton to myself, is that how that works?
You're taking care of that?
You'll, yeah.
Cody,
Yep,
you're covering for him?
I guess so. Yeah,
Jim Benson, the animal control officer.
Nothing else on that one?
just what it says.
Okay, so now we're gonna go over to appointment of deputy, forest fire ward.
Yeah,
You have somebody in here that wants to.
yeah, that John Barrett is the forest fire warden, as you know, and, so we thought, it was probably good to have a deputy, and he thought all he had to do was just appoint a deputy, but we found out when they went to a meeting that he has to go through this process, and it's fine. Tim Gerard, who lives on Lantern Lane, which is off from Route 7, used to be fire chief.
Sometimes you always fireman too, right?
Yeah, and,
Where's Lantern Lane, it says off Route 7, where is it?
well, you go to the,
Is that everybody me?
yeah, past you, it's off from a street, I can't, Quarry, Lime Kiln Road.
Yeah,
Oh,
just,
okay.
yeah, it's just,
Off
it's
Lime
like,
Kiln Road,
I
then
gotta see
take a
it.
left.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
it's literally diagonal through my head.
Right, yeah. So, and Tim's, willing to do it, so, we just, putting his name in for consideration, and if you're in agreement, have you sign the appointment, everybody has to sign.
So we need a motion to approve of the deputy.
I second it.
You get everything? The name of the.
Tim Gerard.
Alright, the motion's been made and seconded to appoint the new deputy, forest fire warden. Any more discussion? Not, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Circulate that and above the line there.
I'm just kidding, okay.
In your pocket.
I know, that's what I do.
Give the check.
That's why I ended up taking them all home. Remember, I brought them up at the end, bringing it home.
Still learning the new streets in Swanton after 75 years.
Yeah, that's not really new now.
Yeah.
It's,
Alright, now we're on to the Swanton Public Library elevator contract.
yeah, well, I had sent a memo along, and, it's pretty self-explanatory. We have to get somebody to look at the sump pump, because the float in the sump pump is not working. The elevator, I put in a call, and of course they didn't respond, so I've had enough of that, and I've contacted, a couple of elevator companies that are in Vermont. One is an office of a multinational company that never got back to me, but one that's based in Montpelier did. And their rates are less than Otis. They, instead of $384 an hour for a technician to come stand by, it's $225. They're very familiar because the library in Montpelier, the Hubbard Library, has the same problem with its pumps in the sub pump.
Oh, so they already kinda know what to do.
So they can't fix the pump, but they're familiar with,
Right.
they go there about 4 times a year. What I would like to do, as I said in the memo to you guys, is to terminate the contract with Otis. And just send them a letter and say, you're terminated.
Is there any repercussions of doing so?
Let them take us to court.
Okay.
How old's the contract? The signed contract's how old?
20.
It was signed in 2009, it was automatically renewed, apparently all, it was a 3-year term, automatically renewed ever since, well, actually it's 2007, Art Spear was alive.
So the board has never only approved that once, or the library.
The library board.
Yeah.
But every time in the state law in the state of Vermont, when a contract renews automatically like that, they have to give you every time 30 days notice. And we never got a notice. So
they kind of are breach.
Yeah.
Well, and we as the town have taken it over, and it's no longer just the library
That's
doing
right.
it. So that would that
So-
change the stipulations of the contract, anyways?
I don't know, the contract was originally with Bay State Elevator. So Otis has bought Bay State out. So I mean, I won't worry, I'll
Yeah, I
say,
wouldn't
take
worry.
us to court. It's gonna be small claims court, if it is anything, and hey, I can say we've called for service, they don't come, they charge.
Yeah.
And
No.
so I just say, that's it, we're done.
So what the board needs to do tonight is to make a motion to terminate the
Terminate
contract
the
with
contract.
Otis Elevator Company.
And allow me to, do a deal here with the new company.
And approve
Alpha.
assigning a contract
With Alpha.
and giving you the authority to sign the
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
So it'll be 2 motions.
I'll make the first motion to terminate the contract with Otis.
I'll make the second motion, give him.
No.
Wait a minute, you got a second, we need to vote on one at a
Okay,
time.
one at a time. Excuse me.
You want a second to add?
Second, yeah.
Alright, so motion's been made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the motion carried. Now we can go on to the second motion.
I'll make the motion that we give Ryan the permission to sign with the new
I'll
company.
second it. Alright, what's the name of the
Alpha.
second?
Alpha.
Alpha,
Alpha.
Alpha Elevator of Montpelier.
Okay, the motion has been made, the second motion's been made, and seconded. Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, so that motion carried too.
Okay, there, now we'll take care of that. After I send out the RFPs,
Okay, so
Yeah.
now we got a memorandum of agreement with the Swanton
Yeah.
Railroad.
and
That's the same as it's always been, ain't it? Or is it-
well, this is the first time I think it's come up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the end of the first 5 years.
You know, I
Okay, so,
I don't know, I just get, Jason Barney is,
yeah, new president.
new president, and I'll, I don't know if you had any, I just included the existing copy, just
Yep.
so that you get to see what it's.
How much is it costing us per year now, Brian?
You have a,
It's not a lot. We've had years when we've spent money, like we had to put a new roof on and we did some other work on it where it cost us money.
We added a light
Typically
pole.
it's, what?
We added a light pole.
But it's been, I mean, it's gonna have to be looked at to see if anything has to be done for it. Basically budget, is it 12?
12.
And last year we spent
48.
48. So, and a lot of that, 1,800 of that is heat, but, we've done like, of course we mow it and take care of it and that
Yeah.
stuff, but I mean, it should probably be looked at to see if something
Yeah.
needs to be done, cause we did replace the roof one side at a time, I know that. So, I mean, we haven't spent the money every year, so it just rolls over at the end of the year.
Is this a case where we should be building a reserve fund for future? It's a great old building, but if you walk around it, it needs to be kept, probably some deferred maintenance there. So should we consider maybe putting so many $1,000s a year into a reserve fund in case a major project comes up, or should we just take it out of our operating expenses?
Well,
Well, right now we budget 12,000, we haven't spent it, but also we have to, it has to be evaluated to see what needs to be done.
That's right.
I mean,
So if we don't spend the 12, could we
you have
hang
to,
on the rest of
no,
it?
you can't, you have to put it out to voter approval.
So if we wanted to establish a reserve fund for the museum and some other structures that we own, would that be approved by the voters? Okay, well, that's fine.
and that's something we need to consider
Yeah,
coming up next
absolutely.
budget time,
But,
yeah.
and I can talk about that briefly. I did go to the bond seminar last week. That would fall under the category of capital planning. And they talked about reserves and everything else. There is it's not happening yet, but they feel that with federal legislation coming up on grants and whatnot, it may require municipalities to have a capital plan. And they strongly encourage use of reserve funds for everything, especially in the way of expensive, dump trucks price going up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
St. Albans City this year has ordered a new, just ordinary pumper for the fire department, $820,000. The price of all this stuff has gone up tremendously because there used to be a municipal discount. But with the COVID situation and all that, it was a 40% discount roughly. So a police cruiser you get for $40,000, $35,000, now it's $75,000. So, yeah, this is gone. And whether the manufacturers will ever come back with municipal discounts, we don't know. But
We getting away with that now, why wouldn't we?
But I think this capital planning thing is an excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
we
it's
definitely,
gonna
that's something we're gonna have to get done before budget time.
And here's an example of maybe we should seek some funding for someone to do this for us.
Well, I remember back a number of years, quite a number of years ago, when they looked at impact fees.
Yep.
On development. And to do that, you needed a capital plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they put in, at that time, $14,000 to hire somebody to do a capital plan. The voters turned it down.
Yeah.
For $14,000.
Because you told them you were gonna do it for impact fees. If
That
you just
may have
said you
been
were doing a capital, you wanna do a capital claim so that we'll have money in reserve for our buildings, you probably get more support for it.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, I think before we start there, we need to educate, there's a lot of resources on the leagues of cities and towns regarding what that looks like
Yeah.
for our community, and I think we all need to educate ourselves so that we are making the best educated choice before we continue to keep spending on things, even though we may later on down the line have to invest in them.
But that's one thing that needs to go on your board, Ryan, that we do get done.
Capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we finalize the budget this year. Otherwise, if we don't stay on it, it's not gonna happen.
And we've got some great old buildings.
Yep,
They're old.
yep, just like me.
But they always need maintenance, and if you don't, it doesn't take long to.
Okay, so now, did we make the motion to approve the? No, okay, so is there any more that, you wanna keep discussion at, Railroad Depot, or are we gonna go ahead and approve it? It's basically the same thing that's been, and the Historical Society's happy with that.
Well, that's what I gotta check with him on, to see
Yes.
if they are. Huh? They are?
There,
Okay. So I'll get in touch with him.
yeah,
and
you
we'll
talked with
just-
Jason, but he just had a meeting.
We'll just redo the thing and just have him sign it. If
Yeah.
You get the okay from the board.
Yeah.
And I think.
I know that was staying down there, because I'm on that board, but.
Oh, you're on the Historical.
Well, you're on
right,
the, okay.
yeah.
I move, Mr. Chairman.
All right, do I get a second on that?
I don't know why you're looking at me.
Second.
All right, motion been made and seconded, any more discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carried. Now we don't have to do highway department, cause we already done that, now we're going down to recess the regular meeting and into the liquor and tobacco control board meeting.
I make a motion that we recess our regular meeting and enter into the Liquor and Tobacco Control Board.
I second that.
All right, motion been made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, that motion, okay, so we got three,
We have
four,
three.
three, right? Yeah,
The Dollar General, liquor and tobacco license. Hometown Sunoco does not have a liquor license, just a tobacco substitute endorsement. And Mama Bear's, which is the House of Pizza, per liquor license, second class.
can we make a motion?
And none
to
of them
approve
have any
any-
violations.
They're on good standing.
They're all in good standing.
So, can we make one motion to approve all three?
Yeah, you can.
Alright, so if somebody wants to do
I
that,
make a motion to approve all three for the licenses they have requested.
I'll second that.
alright, motion been made and seconded, I don't think there's any more discussion, so all those in favor? Alright, that motion carried. And we gotta go back,
I make a motion to adjourn from liquor and tobacco control and re-enter our regular meeting.
I'll second.
alright, that motion's been made and seconded.
Aye.
Alright, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Alright, that motion. Now, do we have, oh, Brian's gone, so we don't have any other necessary business or correspondence.
I have, just a, do we, I noticed just by looking at other towns like that, when you go to St. Albans or Burlington, they have like a citywide tax that the industrial or businesses are charged, not the people.
Local option tax.
Local option tax.
That's what the planning commission is discussing right now. They'd like to try and institute some sort of
Oh, they are?
1% local options tax.
My-
But it extends beyond business, so say residents who order from Amazon, that contributes to the local options tax as well.
Yeah, and we don't get to keep it all, Cody. We get about 3/4 of that penny.
Yep.
To the state.
3/4, I think
handout.
it might be still better than
Oh, yeah,
zero,
yeah,
and
I
it
mean,
could help
no-
fund.
no question, it's out there.
It's not too much of an impact on our.
That's how St. Albans does.
And then we have to decide what we're gonna do with it, with the money.
That's how they did a lot.
I was thinking about the other night, and I was like, well, geez, that's a lot of money, is it not?
Well, it's probably not gonna be as much as you think.
No?
No, I think like St. Albans town, they're less than $1 million. But
What they got Walmart, we don't
Their
have.
local
Yeah.
options tax will support the community center essentially. They've used the local option tax to build their town hall.
I know, but how much money did they still don't get that much a year.
Oh, they got 600,000.
Over $1 million a year.
A million now?
Yeah.
Million?
Now, is it Tractor Supply in Swanton?
No.
Yes, yes.
Yes, it is.
Tractor Supply,
yeah.
It's in Swanton.
But there are a lot of exemptions, but still, it's money that's on the table.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about it, I was like, well, that could help fund a lot of things.
They
right?
talked,
Instead of putting it on our taxpayers, like, it's kind of.
Well, you're still, it's
Passing
still
it
a
off on
tax,
taxpayers.
okay, there's
Yeah,
taxpayers, but you know,
it's
alright, you might get some people from out of town that are gonna contribute to it.
Correct.
The thing is, it needs local approval.
It does, and I think the legislature has changed it, so that's all we need. We don't need to go to the legislature, they're working on that.
Yeah.
They talked about that last week, the local option tax. Now, the town of Stowe, because you can't compare Stowe, they put it on just alcohol, rooms and meals.
Yeah.
And they started getting, they now get $1.5 million a year. And then, so now the town is putting it on everything. But Stowe has got a lot of restaurants and a lot of hotels and a fair amount of alcohol.
But it's a great thing if we wanted to reserve it for capital expenses,
Right.
you know,
Um,
not operating expenses.
right.
It's a
In-
great, yeah.
In that it's, because we got the town village, and of course the big gain is it's all mail order too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because anything that you get through the mail comes to an 05488, but they have worked out the zip code problems. Because like Highgate has got a lot of 05488s down town, but somehow they've got it coded so they were told that,
So they know who's in Swanton and who's not.
and so that in itself, you know, is a big boom. So I will through the course of the summer, certainly in time for as we go forward. To me, if you got hold of the state tax department and they said, okay, how much do we collect that we know of
Yeah.
with 05488
Yeah.
in the current sales tax, and then you just figure in and put add another 1% onto that, and that's what you got. Except, well, the state takes their
State
cut.
takes a share out of it, yes.
And so that I was told, oh, you got to hire an economist to do all that, and I don't see why. It's just like.
All of the sales tax stuff it comes out quarterly.
Yeah.
You know that.
Right, but it doesn't break it down by town.
It's county, yeah, you're right.
Okay, yeah.
I used to use it all the time.
And, so, you know, we'll, certainly, you know, get into that, and then so in plenty of time, we'll warn it. Now, it should be, because it's just coming to the people in the town and the village, yeah, there should be something that's on a general fund expense.
Yes,
Yeah.
So, that both town and village residents will get.
yes.
the
Do
benefit.
we have to split part of that with the village?
No, not if we do it as a general fund.
Okay.
So, but, you know, but it would make sense if we did general fund expense. Now, I don't know if the village was thinking about that, but, you know, it's,
Well,
but it's still, it's less money,
Yeah.
it's still benefiting,
Yeah.
it'll benefit everybody. So that's,
So maybe you're gonna put that on your board too, Brian, that
It is.
make some kind of decision, you've got it on it, okay,
Yeah.
before.
I just wanna make
you
sure it's
finalize the budget.
signed into law. but-
Yeah, yeah,
And so, you know,
well, it's been brought up, we're gonna, I mean, I don't know, we got so many things going on, we can't afford half of it, we're gonna have to find another source of revenue, cause property taxes are just getting too high. You know, I know directly, I understand what they're saying, but they're only looking at the rec. As a select board, we gotta look at everything, you know?
But you raised a good question. This originally was being sold as a rec community center.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the stuff today that came in. About the only thing I could say is for the community is yoga or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of emphasis on.
Well, that may change in the future, but we got it, I just wanted to bring that up, just saying that we have all these other things we gotta take care of, you're talking about trucks for the highway department, this and that. We're, you know, finding another source of revenue is not a
is
bad idea.
absolutely critical.
Yeah.
So, but I will keep you.
Okay, we're going to did you have any correspondence you needed to report to us?
No correspondence.
Alright, then I guess I'll do the upcoming events. Wednesday, April 19th will be the planning commission meeting here at the town offices at 6:30. Thursday, April 20th, will be the DRB meeting at the town offices, and that one starts at 6 o'clock. And then on Tuesday, May 2nd, the select board meeting here at the town offices, and again, it's at 6 o'clock PM, not AM. Alright, now we have to go in executive session, you had a personnel issue?
Yeah.
So you?
Me?
Yeah,
then
Kevin.
Oh, that's right, Kevin, and I got one too, yeah, that's right, it's good that you reminded me.
What
I'm your last name.
what I have to do when you come out, probably if you're agreeable, we need a motion to do it.
Yeah, there'll be probably 2 motions coming in.
Alright, so.
Are you guys gonna wait to make that motion until I can turn the recorder back on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I will make
yes,
sure of it, Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you wanna,
Have you made a motion to go into executive
Not
session?
yet.
yeah, it's up to you, if you wanna go now, or you can,
It doesn't matter to me, you tell me.
no, you can go if you got Joe staying.
You'll probably have time to go.
Well, it was nice to meet you.
You too. Run, if they tell you to run.
Yes.
Oh, don't forget to punch in.
I will not.
Okay.
So I move that we find that we enter executive session
Thanks, Doc.
another time for the select board to receive confidential personnel information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I'll second.
Alright, that motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Need a motion now to enter back into regular session.
I make a motion to exit executive session at 9:15 and enter a regular meeting.
Second.
Second it, alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 2 motions to make.
I'll make a motion to,
You wanna do,
pay increase.
Baucus first? Yeah.
Yes, I'll make a motion to increase the pay for, what did you say his name?
Mr.
Bacchus. Mr. Bacchus.
Yep, and that's gonna be
$25.
$25 an hour.
We have to use names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Oh, we need a second
Second.
first.
Well, you gotta get a second.
I'll second that.
All right, so that motion to increase the pay for Mr. Bacchus to $25 an hour has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, then we've got the other one for Christine.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to give her
That she'll get her 2 weeks
2 weeks vacation and
sick time.
sick time up front.
Second.
What's Christine's last name?
Candles?
Candles.
DELS.
Never forget that.
I second her.
Alright, so that motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I said aye.
See? Boom.
Okay, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Alright, let's
May I
make,
ask a question, please?
well, public comment period is over, but it'll have to be short, Roger.
Okay, well, let me make one, one comment regarding public comment. You
Okay.
didn't request, speakers at the final public comment. And I did, miss getting successfully zoomed in at the beginning of the meeting, so I didn't get in till about 6:02 or 6:03. But in consideration of your 3¼ hour meeting, I have no problem with sending an email of the public comments that I had wished to make, with the understanding that a couple of the select board members would kindly give me the courtesy of some response to those comments.
First, Roger, I wanna apologize, you're absolutely right, I forgot about the public comment at the end, but it's been a long night. And yes, you send that to us, and I will personally respond to you.
Okay, then that would be fine. I did wanna be attending the meeting and hear the report from the Recreation Committee and the trail work and so forth, so my comments would have been best after that anyways.
All right, I look forward to reading your email, Roger.
All right,
Now I'll take the big motion.
I move that we adjourn.
I will second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, you're right.